We're 3 days away from the December polls. Hello and welcome to Election Brief with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, all social media platforms and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Please stay for details.
Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, Chopbox Technology, a convenient service, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness and Beauty, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants (CIMA), and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants (AICPA), together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, Youth Break Foundation, bridging the gaps for positive youth development, Syntex Tanks, Aya Strong, Aya Tough, Potential Real Estate, your trusted partner in real estate, Deluxe Paint, Paints Mu Champion.
Welcome back and on to our first story. A founding member of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, has called for the arrest and prosecution of Lydia Alasan, the embattled member of parliament for Ayawaso West Wogon, for distributing food to security officials waiting in line to vote on Monday. Dr. Tamaklo also expressed disappointment with security officials for not rejecting the food packages. He added that the NPP should have revoked her candidacy by now, deeming her unfit to serve as member of parliament.
Indeed, I saw that tape, and it was very disheartening. I mean, it was being done openly. Now, we shouldn't forget ourselves that we are in a new technology world. So anything you say, anything you do can be covered. It was so shameful. And what hurt me most was that these people in line to go and vote was security personnel. And I didn't see one of them rejecting it. I didn't see one of them rejecting it. And what also disturbed me was that the PC, that's the parliamentary candidate for that particular constituency, when questioned, she denied it. That's right. Such a person is not qualified. In fact, if it had been in a civilized country, she should have been left. She should have left that contest by now. The party would demand that she leaves. The party would demand that she leaves. She denied flatly that she has not been there. Why she has been captured on video. We don't need such people in parliament. We don't need such people as lawmakers. They will destroy this country. Indeed, I will pray that she loses the election if she's still going to contest, because she is a person you cannot rely on.
Now, a group calling itself the Ashanti Heritage Front, affiliated with the New Patriotic Party, has warned that it will resist any attempt to distribute or disturb the electoral process in the Ashanti region on Saturday, December 7, when voters go to the polls to elect a new president and parliamentarians. The group, led by former MP for Mensha North Collins Amankwa, said it will not allow any individual or group to disrupt the peaceful conduct of the election in the region, which is considered a stronghold of the NPP. The group accused the NDC of planning to use violence and intimidation to influence the outcome of the elections in the Ashanti region.
We also know that they are recruiting former military and policemen, as well as other tasks on voting day, to cause confusion in the Ashanti region and to intimidate voters from coming out to vote in their numbers on December 7th. We are also aware of plans to use Alfred Mahama, biological brother of the former president John Dramani Mahama, Richard Jakpa, and Hobson Adoy, to carry out evil machinations in Ashanti Region. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, we in the NPP are still committed to clean campaign, and it is clear that our flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, including all our parliamentary candidates, have carried out issue-based campaigns throughout the country. We therefore winning the upcoming elections on our strength, our work, and the issues we've raised in our campaign. Our message to the electorate has been superior, clear, unambiguous, and we are winning majority in parliament and retaining the presidency, inshallah, on December 7th.
3 days to the polls, wife of the Vice President, Bawumia, has called on voters to reject violence and intimidation on Saturday, December 7, as Ghanaians go to the polls to elect a new president and parliamentarians. Speaking at the Ashanti Women for Peace Conference in Kumasi, Mrs. Bawumia urged voters to exercise their franchise peacefully and avoid any instance of violence in the voting process. She spoke in an exclusive interview with Joy News' Nana Boachi Yadom.
The Ashanti Women for Peace Conference was held to encourage women to lead in the advocacy against electoral violence. The conference was to also encourage women participation in the election. Speaking to Joy News on the sideline of the event, wife of the Vice President, Bawumia, emphasized the need to ensure a peaceful election.
Why do you think that we need peace in this election?
Well, it's obvious. Peace. To have development, you need peace. And we've seen the tensions around. We've heard some of the rhetoric, which is very unfortunate. But we need to continue as leaders to encourage our people to be peaceful. Elections are not about conflicts. They're about making a choice. And a choice should be a peaceful choice. And inshallah, victory will be for the new patriotic party. But we need to vote in peace.
Is Dr. Bawumia winning the elections?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Bawumia, who led the New Patriotic Party's delegation to the conference, advised that voters turn their faces against violent activities. The Ashanti Women for Peace group is on a week-long campaign preaching dialogue between political parties before and after the elections. For Joy News, Nana Boachi Yadom, Kumasi.
Vice presidential candidate for the new force, Dr. Mariam Isaka Krisa, is optimistic about winning the 2024 presidential elections. She's confident in their plan to industrialize all 16 regions of Ghana, dubbed the 12 pillars of economic freedom. In this interview, Dr. Krisa said she hopes Ghanaians will break away from the duopoly in Ghana.
I don't know if you have seen our document, the 12 pillars of economic freedom. If you look at that document, nobody will tell you that this is work that is based on a lot of research. If you pick up the document, you see that we have really put in the time, the effort to go around the country, to identify the resources that we have, to find out what the challenges, the problems of the people are, and then try to find out how we can solve those problems. You know, some of the places like the North, I never knew that we had iron ore deposits in the North. And the fact that we could actually make a steel industry out of these iron ore deposits to serve the whole of the country. You know, so this is really a well thought out document, well researched. And so we have put in the time, we've put in the effort, and I think that we have what it takes to address some of these challenges. Well, I think that we are going to win. So I'm not thinking of any plan B for us. So far, I think the youth have bought into our message, and they understand that it is time for change and the power is in their hands. So for me, there is nothing like we, the new force, not winning.
NDC presidential candidate John Mahama has expressed disappointment over the inability of the NPP to complete key and crucial projects like the Afari Military Hospital, Phase 2 of the KJTR Market, and many others in the Ashanti region after almost 8 years in office. Speaking during a courtesy call on the Asantehene, John Mahama promised the Asantehene a future NDC government will complete the unfinished projects and start new ones. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
John Mahama, during his visit to the Minsha Palace, criticized the governing New Patriotic Party for taking the Ashanti region for granted, suggesting the party relies on the region's support despite limited developmental progress under the MPP. He assured residents that if the NDC is elected into power, it will complete unfinished projects and initiate new ones.
And I'm a bobo and Yoma Yayawan Santiman.
He said, the last time I came here, I mentioned our projects in the Ashanti region. These were critical projects that enhanced the region's development. Some were completed, while others were not. The sad part is that some of those we could not finish have been abandoned for 8 years and are now rotting away. For instance, look at the Ferry Military Hospital. If you consider the stage of that facility before we left power, you wouldn't expect it to remain unfinished after 8 years.
Now, hospital na enyadia nipa bedwin say efi wotwe ye besan amane aka say sa hospital ni yembie sanso na Sevilla hospital reho say sanyo me na etweja a say ebesi ne yenyen wie ansa ni efi aban mu ye bie kejetia dwano.
Before we left government, we inaugurated the KGTR market. Together, we sourced funding and sent it to Parliament for the second phase of the project. 8 years later, it is hard to understand why it remains incomplete. The Asantino Tumfo said to encourage John Mahama to tell the people about his achievement and what he plans to do if he's re-elected. He stated that elections are won at polling stations, where the summation of ballots determines the winner.
And she said, "One as a party for no any Nipamian Kujabia, here to Abano. About one Nuna Mokenina, baby, Tani Shimuna."
The Election Commission has urged the public to dismiss a viral video circulating on social media that claims to show a voter register inside a white pickup truck. In a statement dated December 4th, the EC categorically denied any connection to the booklet seen in the video, emphasizing that it's not part of the Commission's voter register. The EC described the video as a deliberate and malicious attempt to undermine public trust in the Commission and its work. The statement also called on the Ghana Police Service to investigate the matter thoroughly to expose those behind this calculated act of deception. Here is a full statement from the EC rolling up on your screen now. Says that the Electoral Commission has taken note of a video circulating on social media which shows a copy of a supposed voters register for Ahafwano 1 and 2 being transported in a white pickup truck together with other registers. Now, the voter register shown in the video is not that of the EC. The Commission's registers are black and white and not colored as shown in the video. It also continues to say that it's important to note that the Commission provides the final register to the political parties, as it has been the practice. The political parties also print the final register for the agents. Additionally, it is instructive to note that the truck in the video does not belong to the Commission. It's important to note that the public should disregard the said video. It's calculated to create suspicion and mistrust for the Commission and its work. We urge the police to investigate this matter. The registration number on the pickup truck, which is visible in the video, should be able to assist the police in their investigation. And so that is the statement from the Electoral Commission. Well, we'll go for a quick break. We'll bring you the countdown. Please stay. Welcome back to Election Brief, and it's time to hand over to Evans, Ramona, and Winston for Countdown to D-Day.
And today we focus on what we are calling the Alpha Split battleground for Saturday's general election, the Central Region. And that has been a very interesting talking point. For the first time that the Central Region did what it did, and of course, as you see, Raymond is here with me, with Winston, and we're going to focus here on this particular region. And the first thing we need to do is to put it in context, why we're calling it the Alpha Split battleground. It's the only battleground that did skirt and blouse on block, if you like. Because in the presidential, none of them Akufo-Addo did far better.
Yes, there were 19 of those constituencies.
Than the MPs in question. Because, and this is presidential, by the way, Nana did really brilliantly, really, in terms of his output. Out of the 23 constituencies, he went home with 19 of them. And then you have JM, and again, we keep emphasizing this point, that JM was less popular compared to his own candidates in the last elections. He only went home with 4 of them.
Yeah.
This is at the presidential level. And then you come to what we now know to be another very interesting scenario at the parliamentary level, because at the parliamentary level, the story changes slightly, because there was then the flip on the other side of the coin, where you now have a situation where in the Central Region, the NPP is now behind. Yeah. Although their presidential candidate has sort of swept the field, because out of 23, if you get 19, that is a very dominant performance indeed. But then you have their parliamentary candidates. And very, very strangely, right, coming in for the parliamentary candidates, only managing for MPP
10.
Only managing 10 of the law. The NDC, however, comes in at 13.
Yeah.
So they did brilliantly. But here's the catch. This is the first time that the Central Region had done this split sort of outlook in terms of the performance of NDC and MPP, where they did skirt and blouse. Skirt and blouse only we go to the constituency level. But they did skirt and blouse, overwhelmingly voting for Nana Addo, and then punishing the parliamentary candidates there in the region. First time it's done that. What are we reading into that in terms of how it sets up Saturday and what it could mean, considering its very important predictor, bellwether status that we know?
For a region that has about 3 million people, a region that has more than 1.7 million votes in that particular area alone, for a region that is predominantly Akan, and also, when you even break down the Akan feature, more than 50% Fanti, the way the Central Region behaves surprises many. And again, it is also a region which is predominantly rural. So many major regions which are on the outlook are not predominantly rural, but this one is. It is surprising how they behave like a region that's heavily cosmopolitan, and you can identify the main areas in the Central Region. You can identify the more evolved or more, you can say the modernized areas in the Central Region. And yet, even in constituencies where it's quite homogeneous, and it's also a region that is predominantly into agriculture, then fishing being a subset of the agriculture thing. I'm saying it is not one of those regions you expect to behave the way it behaves in elections. Yeah. A region that says that even if the gentleman is from my constituency, that is in the case of Mills.
But here's the big question. I want to come to you. Yeah. And on the back of what we've done since Monday, we said this year, you can afford to lose some regions that typically we have said you can't afford to win. You cannot say that about the Central Region.
Well, if you,
at the presidential level.
If you are the NDC or NPP, at least you want to win the Central Region. But as I told you from Monday, and I hardly change position, I say, if you want to win this election, you can actually improve upon your performance in what we've termed as swing regions. And in this case, if you are the NPP, you may want to hold on to it. If you are the NDC, when I say improve upon your performance, the word
swing, although you've said at the beginning.
No, I say what we have called swing. I mean, so
yeah, we're using bell
I clarify that as what we have termed as swing. So you can afford to do that. If you are the NPP, you want to hold on to it because it gives you some advantage. If you are the NDC, just improve and you're good to go. I wouldn't say try and win it. No.
No, I would say actually that for Central Region, it's a must win.
No, you can let it
win.
Actually, it's a must win for the NPP if they want to show that they are going to take back their seats and that they want to win in Parliament. So, in fact, one of the NPP's biggest headache today is if you're unable to claw back in the Central Region, where else can we show parliamentary majority? I hope you get the difference. So if they're able to get back their seats, that would be brilliant because they won in the presidential.
Yes, but you see,
and in the presidential, the NPP may just have to hold on. Don't seek to expand beyond what you have. But don't do extra.
But the candidate is no longer in the picture.
But you see,
that's also an interesting perspective.
Hold on. But that's the other point. The Central Region doesn't guarantee you that. Because the Central Region has shown you that after 8 years, okay, after 8 years,
they would move on.
They would move on.
They switch.
Yeah.
And they sent a signal that contrary to the expectations in the past, in 2020, they voted for a presidential candidate and voted against his party's parliamentary candidate.
A signal that they were likely to move on.
This is the point for me. This is the point for me. If you are the NPP, for instance, and if you look at the parliamentary bit, for instance, you'd have to be targeting Ewutu Senya West.
True.
Yeah, hold on there. And that for you, it's this is Ewutu Senya East here. You're saying
West.
Do the drop down for me.
So if you are, the NPP, you would have to be targeting Ewutu Senya West, and also try as much as possible. So this is Ewutu Senya West, for instance.
West there.
Yes. So if you are Eugene Ahen today, you must try and close. So this is 2020, 32,000 for Gisela Tetagbutui, and 29,000 for George Anda. This is a margin of 2,900.
So you're focusing on this?
Parliament, yes, and that.
And that.
32,708.
This is no longer Georgia.
Eugene Ahen.
It's now Eugene Ahen.
Good. So if you're Eugene Ahen, what you have to do is that you must close this gap and get the seat for the NPP. Then you would have to look at another constituency.
Which constituency
will be
is that?
The Abra Asebu Kwamankese constituency.
And that is Felix Kwachifosu's constituency.
Now, the NPP has won that seat 3 times. Okay? But that seat tilts towards the NDC more than it would tilt towards the NPP.
There you go. This is the constituency you're talking about here.
Watch the margin of victory in the parliamentary elections.
And that here is, for you, a big deal to focus on.
It's a big deal because now you don't have Elvis Morris Donko. You have a new candidate.
So we're focusing on this entire area here.
Yes.
Right? This is quite a significant constituency for you. Why?
Because,
why is this important?
Because the incumbent member of parliament won by just about 176 votes.
And that's the point that you're making there.
Yes.
It was very, very close the last time in terms of the parliamentary race.
And in fact,
it's anybody's game this time.
Anybody's game. Let's just do something. Let's go back to 2008. Do 2008. No, just, give us the trends.
2008?
No, just give us the trends in that constituency. It makes it very easier. I'll tell you something. Give me the trends in that constituency.
So that's the trends here?
Okay.
I'm going to move this.
Yeah, just expand it a bit for me so I can show you.
Focus on that.
Okay. So I told you the NPP has won this 3 times.
What story do you want to tell here?
The story I want to tell you is that this is a seat that tilts towards the NDC more than the NPP. In 2004, when the NPP
This was presidential, this parliamentary.
Yes.
Focusing on presidential parliament?
No, I want the parliamentary. Bring me the parliamentary.
So this is your focus here?
This is my focus. So in 2004, when the NPP won it the first time, it was a DCE for the area. That's Andrew Mensah. He was DCE, he had contested on 2 occasions, shows up a 3rd time and gets it. Okay? He loses the 2nd time. Okay? And then the NDC holds on to it for 2 more elections. And then this man, who was known within the constituency with his philanthropic work and everything, shows up and wins it. He is not going to be there in 2024 because he's lost the primaries. And you have this man who's been focusing on the constituency, did so well in 2020, coming back in 2024, if you are the NPP, and this is one of the areas, for instance, if you even check the presidential, okay, in the 2016 elections, the NDC won it, the NPP won it, but it becomes difficult if you are the NPP because of the focus on the constituency and 1 or 2 issues within the constituency on the NPP side.
And look at the numbers. It tells you a very good story. Whenever the NPP has won that particular, be it parliamentary or presidential, they had won with a slightly lower percentage than the NDC does, with huge one, which tells you the main story there. In fact, the NPP's greatest showing was in that year of 2004, where it had on the parliamentary side 53%. But 53% is blown out of the water from the years where, for example, in 2012, the NDC had 55%. Winning the same place. So it's quite clear that they tilt towards the NDC. One or two things may happen in the constituency.
But
for
at
example,
the parliamentary level,
how Felix got in there was an issue that affected him.
Yeah.
He is the one that they started this conversation with the people who sit on radio in Accra, then annex a seat in the constituency, and they tend to run for the constituency. Regardless of how that works out, in his case, it became a big issue that he's being perhaps imposed on the people. In reality today, Felix is the people's person on the ground.
But again, he also brought the numbers.
He has more acceptability than he did in 2020. True. Where at the time they asked Neyu Frihin. Neyu Frihin. So in 2020 it was Neyu Frihin. You now have to justify where you come from. But in 2024, and you see in 2020...
And even that, watch it, under 200 votes.
Exactly. And in 2020, the lead up to the primaries was very close. In 2024, it wasn't as close as it was in 2020. It tells you something, okay? It tells you that this is one seat that the NPP would have to focus on. And this is one of the seats that could swing.
But it's also bellwether at a parliamentary level, because it's an accurate predictor of what is going to happen in the national scale. So all the West Central region is key. You're saying that this area is even more important.
Very, very important.
We need to wrap up, but let's take one more of the key constituencies that you guys want to focus on in this particular region. Okay, and this is an area that you have the man himself, right? Who we know is Kesel himself, who must show that he must remember that it was in this life of parliament that he got promoted to become the leader of the minority side. You have to show that in your own home territory, you're dominant. And that's, I guess, why there's a lot of focus there.
Exactly, but also because, in 2016,
and that's the constituency you're focusing on.
Yes, and because in 2016, for instance, President Akufo-Addo had won that constituency. True. And then he loses it out in the 2020 election.
This is a parliamentary. I want to show quickly what happened there in the presidential.
The presidential,
right?
yes.
Because this is obviously him performing what? In the specific,
in fact, he did very well, more than 10,000 vote difference.
39,229 as against 38,660 by Christy Twafo. The gap was,
and for a fourth-time MP, this was his best showing.
Yeah. And the presidential, though, and you see, the point about this is, if you win the parliamentary for yourself, but you don't deliver enough votes to the presidential candidate, it's still a trouble, right? So how did he perform there for JM?
So JM gets 35,000, Akufo-Addo gets 31,000. Of course, Atuforsen performs better than JM. But this is the good thing about Atuforsen in this constituency. This is Isaac Edumaze's constituency, the governor.
Yeah.
This is his constituency. So this from 1996 was an NPP stronghold. Edumaze held it for the NPP until the NPP lost it in 2008. At the time when Edumaze had lost the primaries, there was a new candidate, Atuforsen takes over, and he's made it his own when it comes to the parliamentary.
But this
maintain it for the NDC.
Safe for him, is it not? I mean, this
in fact,
safe for him.
Atuforsen appears to be doing more of a national campaign than campaigning in the area. And there are very good reasons for it.
Why?
In fact, it's in the last few days that he's gone back to the place. He is more confident now because of the candidates or the NPP's end. When the Reverend, who used to be a DCE, was contesting, the gap was quite close.
It's quite close.
And many feared that after 2 elections, the Reverend would be taken over. Then Rashid replaced the Reverend. When Rashid replaced the Reverend, it was shocking that Rashid performed way lower than the Reverend in the instances that were required in here. And if you break it down properly, the ethnic dynamics are there. If you also look at it on the bigger picture, there are also some religious dynamics which plays out interestingly in that constituency, making it almost impossible for Rashid to penetrate. In the run-up to this election, you saw a lot of people putting up Facebook posts that it's not impossible to remove Atuforsen. Rashid just needs the amount of resources that's required. I am saying the area got a lot of resources in the last election. It didn't yield the kind of results that many wanted to see. Because for a fourth-time MP to
it is not going
spread out.
It is not going to yield that result.
No,
gentlemen,
it's possible.
Gentlemen,
it will not yield that result.
The bottom line, Central Region is going to be absolutely key, unlike the others that we spoke about.
In fact,
if you're an MP, you want to hold on to it.
I list that 50% of the battleground, or let's say the very swing areas that we are so interested in, will be in that region.
Will be there. Anyway, look, that's it for Countdown today. Tomorrow, we're coming to focus a bit more on the independent candidates, but also within the context of the 2 rallies that will be held. We'll be here building up to those final rallies in Legon and in Medina. You don't want to miss it. They're all doing it in Accra for a reason. And we'll be telling you why. We'll be calling up and seeing what really is the trouble in Greater Accra that everybody wants to focus on. We talked about Greater Accra, right? Maybe there's something that all parties are seeing in this territory here that they want to capitalize on. But we've said Greater Accra really this year, based on what we know, may not be.
You can let it.
You can let it go. But they're so focusing on that tomorrow. Build up here from 2. The rest of today.